When you book an Airbnb, you're not just renting a space, you're trusting a stranger's description of it. You're trusting that the photos are recent and accurate, that the number of bedrooms is correct, that the doors all lock, that the only key to the front door is the one in the lockbox. You're trusting, in other words, an enormous amount of information about a place you've never been, provided by a person you've never met, in a house where you plan to sleep. Most of the time, that trust is rewarded. The host is perfectly pleasant. The photos are accurate. The spare key is exactly where the app says it is. Most of the time, it's fine. But these 3 times, it was not fine. These 3 times, the listing was missing something important. The third bedroom. This story was submitted by a couple, Jason and Monica, from Atlanta. They'd booked a 2-bedroom cottage in the North Georgia mountains for a long weekend in October. The listing was beautiful. Photos showed 2 bedrooms, a large living area, a wraparound porch, a stone fireplace. Superhost status. Dozens of 5-star reviews. They booked immediately. They arrived on a Friday evening, just before sunset. The property was exactly as pictured. Clean, quiet. The kind of place that makes you close your eyes and exhale for the first time in months.
The door won't open. I think the key
Monica
is stuck.
told me. We walked in and Jason immediately said, "We are
Maintenance
never
closet
going back
and-
to hotels." I agreed. We made dinner and felt smug about it. On Saturday morning, Jason was exploring the property. He walked through the house once, just getting familiar. There was a door at the end of the main hallway that he'd assumed was a closet. He tried the handle. Locked. He mentioned it to Monica. She checked the listing. No mention of a locked room. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, open living plan. No third door. He texted the host and asked about it. The host replied quickly, "That's just the maintenance closet. Has the water heater and the breaker box. I keep it locked for liability reasons." Jason accepted that. Standard. Fine. They went on a hike. That night, at approximately 2 a.m., Monica woke up. She said later that she didn't know what had woken her, just that she was suddenly completely awake, with a clarity she associated with alarm. She lay still and listened. From behind the locked door at the end of the hallway, there was a sound. Slow, rhythmic, a creaking sound. The exact sound of someone sitting in a chair. She woke Jason. They both lay in the dark, listening to the sound for 2 full minutes. Then it stopped. In the morning, they packed their bags and left the property. They did not contact the host. They contacted Airbnb directly and filed a report. When a property safety team was eventually sent to the cottage, they found that the locked room was not a maintenance closet. It was a 3rd bedroom. Small, with a window that opened onto the back of the property. A bed made. A wardrobe with clothes inside. A phone charger plugged into the wall. And a rocking chair. In the center of the room, facing the door. The host was suspended from the platform pending investigation. The property was flagged. Whether someone had actually been in that room during Jason and Monica's stay was never confirmed. The host maintained the room was not in use. The clothes in the wardrobe were never explained. Monica told me, "We booked a 2-bedroom cottage. There were 3 bedrooms. Someone decided we didn't need to know about one of them. I've never felt safe in a rental property since. The camera, he said, wasn't there. This story was submitted by a woman named Claire, who was traveling solo through the Pacific Northwest in the summer of 2023. She was careful about her bookings, always read the listing thoroughly, always checked reviews for any
This is the
mention of
Airbnb
concerns,
emergency hotline.
always
Are you in a
looked up
safe
the address
location?
independently
I don't know.
before
The alarm is
confirming.
blaring. I need immediate assistance.
She booked a studio in Portland for 3 nights, small but modern. The host had 200 5-star reviews. The listing explicitly stated, as many do now, no security cameras inside the property. On her second night, Claire was getting ready for bed when her eye caught something in the bathroom. A small smoke detector mounted above the shower. Standard. She'd noticed it on arrival. But on this night, standing closer to it, she noticed that the tiny indicator light that should blink green every 30 seconds on a smoke detector was not blinking. It was on, steadily. And the angle of it pointed not at the ceiling, not at the smoke that would rise from below, but directly at the shower area. She left the bathroom without showering. She opened her laptop and looked up the model number she found on the device's base by standing on the toilet lid to read it. The model came up in the first search result. It was not a smoke detector. It was a commercially available, hidden camera disguised as a smoke detector. The indicator light was a sign the recording function was active. Stability 30%, speed 1.0 times, style 60%. She called Airbnb's emergency line at 1 a.m. She was told to leave the property immediately if she felt unsafe. She did. She stayed in a hotel that night and filed a formal complaint with Airbnb, the Portland Police Bureau, and the Oregon Attorney General's office. Portland PD confirmed the device was a recording camera. The host was suspended and subsequently arrested and charged under Oregon's voyeurism statutes. The device was confiscated. Its storage contained footage from at least 12 prior guests. Claire told me, "The listing said no cameras inside the property. That sentence exists to make you feel safe. I've learned that sentences like that are written to lower your guard, not to protect you. Now I bring a detector with me, every single stay, every single time." The host was still there. This last story was submitted by a family, a mother named Karen, her husband, and their 2 teenage daughters. They booked a large house for a week in the Florida Keys in the summer of 2024. Beautiful property, 3 bedrooms, pool access, walk to the beach. The kind of vacation house that every family saves up for. Arrival went smoothly. The keyed lockbox worked. The house was clean. The pool was warm. Everyone chose their rooms and unpacked. Karen, thorough by nature, did a walkthrough of the property. She noted that one bedroom at the back of the house, the 3rd bedroom, which her younger daughter wasn't using since they'd only needed 2, had a deadbolt on the inside of the door. Unusual for a vacation rental. She assumed it was original to the house and dismissed it. On the second day, her older daughter mentioned that she'd seen a light under the door of the 3rd bedroom at 2 a.m. when she'd gotten up for water. Karen checked the door. Locked. She texted the host to ask if anyone else was staying in the property. The host said no. The property was rented exclusively to them for the week. On the 4th day, Karen came back from the beach earlier than the rest of the family and walked through the house. The door to the 3rd bedroom was slightly ajar. She pushed it fully open. The room was occupied. Personal items, toiletries, a phone charger, an open book on the nightstand, a half-drunk glass of water. Recent. Glass was still cold. She walked through the entire house. She checked every room, every closet, the garage, the backyard. She found no one. She called the police. While she was still on the phone with them, her husband texted from the beach. Met the host, he came to say hi. Seemed nice. The host had been on the beach with her family while Karen searched the house. He'd been there the whole time. The investigation confirmed that the host had never vacated the property. He had been living in the third bedroom throughout the rental. He had a separate entrance through a window in the garage that allowed him to come and go without being seen from the main house. He had a copy of the key. He was charged with criminal trespass on a property he ostensibly owned. His Airbnb account was permanently removed. He had 47 prior 5-star reviews. At least 14 of them mentioned how responsive and friendly he was. Karen told me, "He was on the beach with my children while his things were in the room I was standing in. He waved at my daughters. He shook my husband's hand. And the whole time, our family was renting a house that he had never left." 3 rentals, 3 things the listing didn't mention. A hidden room, a hidden camera, and a host who never actually checked out. When you travel, bring an RF detector. Check every smoke detector in the bathroom and bedroom. Try the handle of every locked door and ask why it's locked. And if something feels wrong about a property, even something small, even something you can't name, leave. Airbnb will refund you. Your safety is worth more than the inconvenience of finding a hotel. Subscribe, hit that bell, and if you've had an Airbnb experience you've never told anyone about, send it to the email in the description. These stories need to be heard. Check every room before you unpack.